Hello students, I am Gunjan Malik Manocha, Assistant Professor in Institute of Hotel and Tourism Management, MDU, Rohtak. Welcome to EPG Pathshala. We are studying the paper Managing Culture and Diversity, and today we will study the module Future Trends and Challenges in Managing Change and Diversity. The learning outcomes would be, by the end of this module, students will be able to understand the advantages and disadvantages of diversity. They will be able to understand the factors which affect the diversity at the workplace and the strategies for managing the cultural diversity, and also the future trends in managing change and diversity. Let's start with introduction. There are many definitions for diversity. Way individuals have defined. Diversity broadly means the presence of different cultures, languages, ethnicity, races, sexual orientations, religious sects, abilities, ages, and the national origins of the people in an institution or any community such as school, workplace, or neighborhood. One another definition is that managing diversity is revising the culture, especially the standard operating procedures. It involves data, experimentation, and discovery of the procedures that is best for each group. Although it is complex, it gives good results towards effective organizations. Then Thomas in 1992 mentioned that managing diversity is to give more power to the employees. Managing diversity gives more approaches that are broad to include all different aspects of diversity. Managing diversity also emphasizes the managerial skills and the policies needed to optimize and emphasize every employee's contribution to the organizational goals. Then, Leach George Jackson replaced it with the term working with diversity in place of managing diversity. They explained that working with diversity explains to be curious, inquiring, interacting, and experimenting the attitude. It needs individuals to have qualities like respect, curiosity, patience, and willingness to learn. Situation like increases in the competition, demographic changes, they have created the need that diversity should be an essential part of the business strategy. As per Loudon and Rosiner in 1991, the leading edge organizations have numerous unique efforts underway to deal with their diverse workforce. Practices that differentiate organization from one another. Continuous monitoring during recruitment and selection of diversified workforce and nationalities of different cultures. The SOPs for supporting diversity. Strategic vision. Proactive planning. The training and the development programs which encourages sensitivity and tolerance. Promotion and development of people. Rewards and motivational strategies on results, the enhanced benefits, reinforcement of the value of diversity in hiring and promotions, adherence to the governmental norms related to reservations for specially abled employees and the other categories of diversified workforce. Cultural diversity and management. The cultural impact on management is reflected by the basic values, attitudes, beliefs, and the behavior of the people. Culture can affect technology transfer, managerial attitudes, managerial ideology, and even the government-business relationships. Moreover, culture affects how people think and behave. In some societies, important decisions are made by few top managers, while in others, these decisions are diffused through the enterprise. American society comes under the first case and Japanese come under the later case. American and other Western countries' cultural norms require individual rewards that are not so in Japanese culture. In some societies, risk-taking is encouraged, which is not so in others. People identify themselves very strongly with their company, as in Japan, against America, where people identify themselves with their occupational group. Some societies encourage cooperation between people, others encourage competition between people. Some countries believe in short-term goals, other countries believe in long-term goals. Western countries put high value on innovation and change, and some countries are where stability is being encouraged. So Reynolds said, it is the cultural background that creates the differences. Now there are certain arguments for creating a diverse workforce which are as follows. Number one, as the number of women, minorities, etc. in the workforce increase, so will their influence as the consumers. Hiring women or minorities or disabled will help the organization to tap these niche markets. Second, as all the segments of the society have stake in the development and prosperity of society as a whole, the creation of diverse workforce should be seen as a social and a moral imperative. Third, the diversity enhances creativity and innovation, and it produces various advantages. Fourth is that diversity helps the organizations for entering international arena. And then the diverse teams makes it possible to enhance the flexibility and rapid response to change. Then let's discuss certain problems which may be caused by diversity. Number one is communication. As communication becomes difficult, employees for different cultures, they fail to understand one another. Diversity also increases ambiguity, complexity and confusion. Diversity also causes problems when managers and employees overgeneralize the organizational policies, strategies and procedures. Cultural diversity creates difficulties for an organization when it wants to reach on a single agreement. That becomes very difficult. Cultural diversity increases the complexity and problems in developing overall organizational procedures. Now let's discuss the best strategies if you want to manage diversity due to changes. First is conduct an organizational audit. Organizational audit should include a continuous monitoring of all human resource management decisions around hiring, placement, training, evaluation, promotion and all the reward systems. Assess the pulse of the company. If diverse workforce in the organization feels good about their stay and experience and enjoy at work, then the well-being, motivation, satisfaction and commitment of people of any organization will definitely increase. Another strategy, establish and communicate clear performance standards. Performance standards must be based on critical competencies necessary for each job. These must be clearly and objectively established, effectively communicated and used on objective criteria. Then provide continuous feedback, a very good strategy. Employees should be trained about how to give and receive feedback continuously on the clearly identified undesirable behaviors that the company wants to change and also the desirable behaviors that the company encourages. Identification of desirable and undesirable behavior must be based upon performance feedback discussions, including diverse workforce. Avoid copying. Very often, companies rely on benchmarking or copying to take advantages of the latest strategies going on in the market. Copying may backfire. To be successful, the strategy must be based on the will of the human resource, the strength and culture of the organization. Some other strategies are like training and education programs, organizational policies for fair and equal working conditions, certain mentoring programs, career development programs, performance appraisal systems should be good, outreach programs can be used, top management involvement should be there, we should try to integrate the diversity, we should have a strategic approach, we should adopt corporate culture which supports diversity. Now, the strategies for managing these cultural differences along with change in the future. The extent to which the managers and employees recognize cultural diversity and its potential advantages and disadvantages defines an organization's approach to managing the cultural diversity. Adler in 1997 has identified the following strategies for managing cultural differences. 1. You ignore the differences. 2. You minimize those differences. Third is you manage those differences. Now let's discuss certain strategies for managing cultural differences along with change in future. First, ignore the differences. By following these strategies, managers do not recognize the cultural, or its impact on the organization. Now, this strategy is very popular in parochial types of organization. In such type of organizations, the managers and employees believe that our way is the only way to manage and organize. Therefore, they do not see any impact of cultural diversity on managing an organization. They consider the diversity is irrelevant. The strategy of ignoring the differences precludes effective management of cultural diversity and also precludes the possibility of minimizing the negative impacts and increasing the positive impacts of diversity. Second strategy is you can go for minimizing those differences. Now, this strategy of minimizing the cultural differences is commonly adopted by ethnocentric organizations. Here, the managers do recognize cultural diversity, but only as a source of problem. So, they have a negative approach. In an ethnocentric organizations, managers believe that our way is the best way to organize and manage. They consider others' way of doing as inferior as compared to theirs way of doing. In this approach, managers try to reduce the problems of differences by reducing that diversity. They do not think about the advantages of diversity. Such types of organization try either to select a culturally homogeneous workforce or to attempt to socialize all employees into the behavior patterns of the dominant culture. Ethnocentric organizations, by minimizing differences, prevent the possibility of benefiting from many cultures present. Then one can go for managing those differences. The organizations which adopt the strategy of managing the differences are synergistic organizations. These types of organizations recognize the impacts of cultural diversity that leads to both advantages and disadvantages. Managers using synergistic approach believe that our way and their way of behaving and managing differ, but neither is superior to other. Creative combinations of our way and their way may be the best approach to organizing and managing. By adopting synergistic approach, the managers and employees minimize the potential problems by managing the impacts of cultural diversity, not by attempting to minimize the diversity itself. Now, the future trends can be macro system trends, interpersonal trends, and individual trends. In macro system trends, there is an impact of culture change, total resource utilization, it can be centralization versus decentralization, conflict resolution and management, and inter-organization collaboration. Interpersonal trends. In interpersonal trends, we focus on the team and the group work in particular and interrelationships among them. We focus on the merging line and staff functions resource linking, integrating quality and productivity, diversity. Networking is also very important, and rewarding the smart work. If you talk about the individual trends, it is like intrinsic worth, change in individuals, effects of thinking, health and fitness of individuals, and interdependence. Some other upcoming trends: a constantly changing organization, an organization which is flexible and able to quickly change. Higher educational levels means increase in motivational needs and training and development schemes, and OT, organization transformation. Shared vision with the employees. One should have trust on the employees, empowerment of individuals in roles, learning organization, and re-engineering. The spatial distribution of organizations. Among central offices, work is less concentrated in individual, dedicated workspaces as collaborative activities gain greater significance. Dispersion is driven by the outsourcing of functions to service providers and relocation of work to lower cost locations, and driving the responsibility to lower organizational levels. Some other spatial distribution of organizations, like lowering the non-direct taxes, outsourcing of the non-core functions like IT, HR, accounting, corporate dealings, remaining functions to be distributed nationally and globally, and then proximity to internal and external customers, and access to talents and skills which are not available locally. use of technologies and social tools for collaborative work. Now, technologies for collaborating with co-workers wherever they will continue to become cheaper and easy to use. It helps in dealing across multiple time zones for the busy workers with multiple teams and projects. Some of the examples of social media are internet forums, web blogs, wikis, podcasts, video, social bookmarking, emails, instant messaging, and crowdsourcing. Because of globalization, the workers have become tightly connected to the globally dispersed work teams, where there is no convenient place to meet the other team members. They have to rely more on the technologies like the video conferencing, social media, or they have to plan the occasional face-to-face meetings to keep in touch with others. Well, it is a challenge to keep the workers engaged and connected, and as workers are more physically dispersed, it becomes even more difficult for them to engage with one another. The shortage of skilled workers in present and future. There will be a shortage of younger knowledge workers in the coming years as the baby boomer generation retires and the younger workers take their place. Organizations will have to compete for the workers who are more comfortable with and seek flexible work, including alternative workplaces. The hardest part of the workplace change is not the physical environment or the technology, but the people with different attitudes and about how they should be managed, how and when they should work, and their attachments to the traditional, centralized workplace and also the values they associate with. If baby boomers don't embrace new ways of working styles, they will find it increasingly difficult to retain their jobs. It is seen by some workers that organizations will continue to be more distributed and they have to change their ways of working to mirror this reality. The demand for more work flexibility in the jobs. Workers will demand more work flexibility, the ability to decide how they should define and tackle the specific problems, and when and where the work is supposed to be done. Because of workers being more geographically dispersed, the work practices, there has to be a shift in the policies, the behaviors for doing work. The focus of the workforce diversity issue has changed from equal employment opportunity to effectively managing the workforce diversity. As the globalization is increasing, the workforce diversity is going to stay here. Those who recognize the globalization of labor as a positive trend and they facilitate the flow of workflows will benefit most. Keeping this in mind, our strategy should be aimed at creating change in the organizations. To be successful in such type of new environment, managers must learn to value and respect the different cultural styles and ways of behaving those differ from other styles. Managers must be able to tie the issues of managing cultural differences to the needs of the business and be well versed in business issues, goals and results. Managing workforce diversity should be considered by the managers as an opportunity to serve to the needs of customers better. By valuing and managing diverse workforce, it is possible to enhance flexibility and rapid response to change. Summary. Thus, based on the future trends and challenges, the managers have to be skilled to utilize the potential of the diverse workforce, and they have to link the diversity to every business function like recruitment, selection, placement, succession planning, performance appraisal and rewards, and many more. To remain competitive, organizations must develop long-term intervention strategies rather than short-term solutions. The managers have to remove the barriers which prevent the organizations from developing and utilizing fully equitable systems that allow the workforce to achieve its full potential. Thank you.